Welcome back to Eoh-Tv. It's Mike here, and it's time for our annual Frightfest preview because this year Frightfest is back for the actual real-life physical festival. 5 days of solid back-to-back horror movies, and we are going to be covering as many of them as possible. So today, I'm just going to be having a little look through the programme to see what's worth watching. So, joining me to discuss all things Frightfest, it's my Frightfest partner in crime. I couldn't do this without her. Louise Blaine, hello.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. I tell you what, I'm so excited because this remote recording chat thing we're gonna do is like the last time we're gonna have to do it for a while.
It's gonna be dead.
But it's gonna be dead because we're gonna be in a cinema in person together next week, and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited, Mike. My last cinema trip was Frightfest Glasgow 2020.
Yes.
So that was February, end of February, start of March. Whenever that was my last cinema trip. And now my next cinema trip is going to be Frightfest in person with you. And everyone, I'm so excited. So excited.
So excited. So let's go through. And there are some big films. You've got a Nick Cage film. We've got a new Neil Blomkamp film. Like, we've got some bigger names attached to some of these movies, haven't we? Which is nice. Let's begin by talking about, speaking of Neil Blomkamp, the opening film, which is Demonic. So obviously Neil Blomkamp, who had done District 9, Elysium, Chappie, he's back with a proper horror movie by the looks of it. A young woman unleashes terrifying demons when supernatural forces at the root of a decades-old rift between mother and daughter are ruthlessly revealed in a laboratory experiment having major repercussions for humanity. Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you a Blomkamp fan, Louise? Do you like his previous films?
I liked District. Am I saying District 9 or District 12?
District 9.
District 9.
Twelve is
what was
Hunger
District
Games.
12? Yeah,
That's where Katniss Everdeen lives.
I was like, there's definitely a District 12 somewhere. Yeah, I love District 9. District 9 was an amazing... It felt like such a wonderful breath of fresh air in terms of the type of sci-fi it was, because it was so human.
Yes.
So I really loved that. I never saw Chappie. I don't think I've seen much of his stuff, but, you know, all of the trailers and all of the preview stuff that's gone on for Demonic, like, I think a lot of it... I want to say that some of it's in like VR, so there's kind of like a video game element, which obviously appeals to me massively.
Yeah.
And I know they did it, he shot it all, because they couldn't make anything else. So he basically made a little movie over lockdown. And I think this is his small, I love it when it's a small lockdown movie, but it gets like a blockbuster release. But I think that's what this is from him. But I know the chat around it, people have seen it, the reviews have landed, and it is not really hitting with many people, which makes me sad. But, you know, we haven't seen it yet. So I suppose we leave that to us.
We'll leave that to us. The reviews, like you say, have not been good so far. But also, I think there will be something about maybe sitting in a cinema on opening night of Frightfest, right, and that atmosphere. Hopefully we might have a bit of fun with it, and maybe that's the way it was designed to be watched, you know, rather than by critics on a screener or something like that.
On a screener, yeah. You've talked a lot about that, about how different it is to sit and watch something in the middle of the day on your sofa on your own with a cup of tea, as opposed to surrounded by that horror audience, which is
so true.
It's just like, I'm getting excited thinking about it. Look, these hairs are rising up my arms. Excited.
I know. I cannot wait. So that is opening film, followed by a film called The Kindred, which I sent this plot synopsis to you because I was like, Louise, this sounds like 8 different film synopses.
Oh yes, it just keeps going.
Just listen to this. After her father reveals some shocking news, then commits suicide in front of her, Helen is immediately involved in a car accident, leaving her in a coma. She wakes up, she learns she has given birth to a baby, Heidi, but she's also suffering from amnesia. Soon, she starts being haunted by ghosts of children and is compelled to piece together the events that led to her father's death. But what do the missing Stoneworth kids and a maniac they call Sackhead have to do with this mystery? Might be my favourite plot synopsis.
I forgot about the entire Sackhead element.
Insane.
Sackhead.
Insane. So we've got amnesia, suicide, car crash,
unexplained
ghosts,
children,
maniacs,
missing children. Yeah, I'm into that. Sure, great.
Absolutely.
Wire me into that madness.
It's only 90 minutes as well, so what could go wrong?
Clown car of genres. Just keep coming. We're fine.
It's amazing. And then to finish opening night, we've got Crabs! ! I mean, Do I even need to read a plot synopsis for this? I'm gonna. Get ready for shell shock. It's the Zombievers meets Godzilla versus Attack of the Crab Monsters hybrid you always craved in the creature feature comedy horror of the year. My goodness.
Yes.
Those are bold statements there, but I can't wait. I cannot wait.
I can't wait for deadly crustaceans. Give me deadly crustaceans. And it's exactly what we need after two movies, one of which has all the genres, just to have a nice, pure, high concept creature feature before we go to bed. Great.
Now, the rest of the programme, obviously, it's absolutely jam-packed with movies, so I'm just going to handpick a few. Now, actually, the following day, the Friday, the big kind of Friday night film on at 8:30 in the main screen is Broadcast Signal Intrusion, which we were lucky enough to have seen back at the beginning of the year, right, for South by Southwest.
Yeah, so Broadcast Signal Intrusion is a really interesting movie, and we all really, really liked it. It's intriguing, and it has a really interesting plot, and it's very well made and quite unnerving in a really interesting way. And I'm excited to see what people think of it. So I think that's a really solid Friday night movie that people should not miss.
Yeah, everyone should check that out. If you're at Frightfest, do not miss Broadcast Signal Intrusion. It's great. I think it's a really, unlike some of these slightly sillier genre films, this movie it takes itself seriously and it is genuinely quite creepy. And it's got a really, like you said, it's got a great plot, a great mystery at the centre of it, hasn't it? It's got that kind of Ring-esque kind of procedural, let's uncover the ghost story kind of vibe, which I love. What about Brain Freeze? This one's on at 10:55 in the morning.
Brain Freeze is the one about AstroTurf turning humans into mutants.
What? Oh my god.
Unless I read it completely wrong. I think that they kind of turf this area and then all the people turn into mutants. So, I mean, we can have our breakfast, sit with our coffee and watch mutants.
Oh, I'm so up for that.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
And then what else have we got here? The Changed, which is on at 6:15 p.m. And this stars, I think it stars. I don't know how much of it he's in, but it's got Tony Todd in this movie.
Yes.
Something has taken possession of the hearts and minds of the city's population. At first, Mac, Kim, and Jane try to convince themselves they're wrong. They're not. An alien intelligence has merged with their neighbour, Bill, played by horror icon Tony Todd, setting into motion a desperate struggle for the survival of humanity. Soon, the entire city is overwhelmed by the inhuman horror of The Changed. But it won't stop there, and the trio cross every line imaginable to save themselves from the horde of body snatchers gathering outside their suburban home. Okay, so a kind of body snatchers apocalypse movie. I'm into that.
I'm absolutely up for that. I mean, especially a little bit of Tony Todd just rocking up and being possessed by something. Whatever he wants to be in, absolutely. We can watch that. It sounds like we're starting the day on a B-movie day and we're going to continue in that manner, really.
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
And these are all on the main screen, aren't they? This is all...
These are all in the main screen, absolutely. Yep. And I want to quickly shout out, because there are also Discovery screens. For people that haven't been to Frightfest, there are 3 screens to choose from, which sadly means that it's impossible to actually watch everything, isn't it, at Frightfest? You do have to pick and choose what you see and what you miss. But I have to mention, Louise, the first film of the day, Friday at 10:50 a.m. in the Discovery screen, is a film called Pretty Boy. Does that ring any bells to you, Louise?
So the nice thing is, through the power of video, you're about to see what we thought of Pretty Boy.
Exactly. So this is a clip you're about to see from our discussion last year of a movie at Frightfest called Blind, which is the previous movie in this franchise, right? And is, and it features a character called Pretty Boy.
What was it? What was it? Even a horror film? Was it even a film? What was it we just sat through? It was absolutely bizarre, wasn't it?
It was awful. It's genuinely I'm just watching it going, this has to end, and it just kept going.
Well, I think we said, please God, let there never be a sequel to this film. Yeah.
We did, because this is the most, it was genuinely one of the most, you walked out in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah,
You left your house.
I risked death in order to just get away from my
leave.
TV that was playing the
leave.
film. Yeah.
Yep. And now we have a sequel.
So here we go. So the shocking Hollywood nightmare continues. Yeah, I'll say. Pretty Boy takes Faye from her Hollywood Hills home to gain access to an A-list Valentine's Day party. But soon the party becomes massacre central as our handsome maniac runs amok amongst the disco lights and beautiful people with his butcher knife. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. I don't know why, but I'm kind of excited about it. But, let's see. It can't be any worse than Blind, can it? This is famous last words.
This is the moment where next week we cut back to this.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just us with a 1,000-yard stare with it echoing round our heads. Couldn't be much worse than Blind, could it? Couldn't be much worse than Blind.
Let's go on to something I am excited about.
Yes.
Which is also in the Discovery screen on the Friday, Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. Now, this, which has already been a massive hit in Japan, the time travel suspense comedy of the decade, apparently. Cafe owner Kato is relaxing after a long day when an image of himself suddenly appears on his television, speaking from the future of 2 minutes. Soon, Kato, his staff, and regular customers are trapped in a time prison. I can't wait. I can't wait for this.
That's great.
One Cut of the Dead was that shocking Discovery screen experience where they put it on in the small screen and everyone was like, well, that was the best film of the festival / best film of the year, possibly, and hopefully this movie will give us something similar. It looks like a similar vibe, right?
I hope so, because really, I don't think I've ever seen a time travel suspense comedy.
No, it's going to be fun, I think. I'm looking forward to it. On to the Saturday evening on the main screen, we've got Off Season, directed by Mickey Keating, which, again, we checked out at South by Southwest, right? Yeah. Coping with the recent death of her eccentric actress mother, Ava, Marie is shocked to receive a letter from the Lone Palm Cemetery curator saying her grave has been vandalized. Returning with trepidation to her mother's hated, isolated island home with her husband to repair the damage, she soon becomes trapped in an unfolding nightmare. Yes. So, Louise, what did you think of this one when we watched it back earlier in the year?
I really like Off Season. Off Season was a lovely little surprise. It's not gonna scare the pants off you or do any of this, but it's a really good. It feels like a solid B movie where you understand what's happening. Someone goes to an island. The island is not perfect. Mm-hmm. It felt chunky and good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it will be great with an audience.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I really liked it. I think it had that real kind of creepy atmosphere, didn't it? Of sort of going into a small town and there's weird secrets and that kind of thing. Yeah, big fan.
Also, it was very Silent Hill-esque. I seem to remember Brad and I.
That's right.
There was lots of interesting fixed camera angles and there was lots of, it was kind of video gamey, but in a really good way.
Yes, absolutely. And then straight after that, the big sort of 9 p.m. film in the main screen on the Saturday night, we've got a Nick Cage movie. So Prisoners of the Ghostlands. So Nick Cage doing his Nick Cage thing by the looks of it, right? And again, you've had the chance to see this one. I haven't yet. But yes. Again, there's probably not you can tell us about it, but I guess something for Nick Cage fans to enjoy?
It's really for Nick Cage fans and really it's quirky even in a way that I didn't dislike. It's it's mad. It's really, but it's got a lot going for it. And as someone that doesn't always love Nick Cage doing his Nick Cage, there's a lot to like. I think it will split people. But I do think it looks beautiful, and there's a scene in it which I think will go down exceptionally well with a Frightfest audience.
Okay,
very well. Yes.
Exciting. Okay, that's good to know. Over in the Discovery screen on the Saturday, I'll pick a couple of these. Heard quite a lot of buzz about a film called The Last Rite, which is playing at 6:15 that evening, right? A vibe of true horror coupled with a dark sense of uncertainty. Medical student Lucy, suffering from sleep paralysis, that's always scary, finds herself plagued by a demonic entity after moving in with her boyfriend. Torn between sanity and the unknown, Lucy seeks help from a local priest, forced to make a deathly choice. Okay, so another kind of haunting / exorcism movie by the looks of it, right?
Absolutely.
Hopefully a good scary one, because I'm always looking for that one really scary movie at Frightfest, you know?
I want a caveat, Mike.
Yes.
I want a caveat. I want one moment where I am as scared as one of the later scenes in Caveat, which I know is asking for a lot because I was very scared. But I haven't had that. I just want it again.
And then another quick one to mention on the Saturday in the Discovery screen, When the Screaming Starts. So this is a kind of mockumentary. So when Norman Graysmith is invited into the home of an aspiring serial killer, he believes he has the subject for the documentary that will make his career. What could possibly go wrong? I love it. I like that premise.
I'm here for that premise. Absolutely.
I'm into it. Okay, let's go on to the Sunday then and quickly pick out a couple of the big films on the Sunday. So we've got Gaia on Sunday afternoon, another one that me and you have already seen, Louise. Yes. Do you have good memories of Gaia?
I seem to think that if you have played The Last of Us, you will have seen quite a lot of Gaia. I remember that it's an ecological. I think we watched a couple of ecological horrors at South by Southwest, and this was one of them. And it's very interesting and goes in unique directions. I seem to think it goes in quite psychedelic directions.
It does. It absolutely does. Yeah. So on a surveillance mission in a primordial forest, a park ranger encounters two survivalists following a post-apocalyptic lifestyle. And then kind of, weird, psychedelic, crazy, horrific stuff happens from there, basically, doesn't it? I remember this film looking absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's got some cool monsters. Again, stuff that you'll be familiar with if you've played The Last of Us, but I think it had some interesting stuff about it. I'm sure a lot of Frightfesters will really dig this movie.
The body horror in it, I seem to remember, is particularly crunchy.
Yes,
it's very It's very touchable in a way of like, I just want to pick that, but I shouldn't because something awful will happen.
Absolutely, that's so true. One of the most bonkers films I've seen all year is also playing on the Sunday afternoon. Sound of Violence. The Sound of Violence. Louise, you were a fan of this one.
I like Sound of Violence.
Yeah.
I think it's flawed, but I think it's funky. Like, I think there's something really interesting about Sound of Violence. Like, this girl, she discovers after a horribly traumatic childhood, really horrible. Like, I don't even want to think about it. Really horribly traumatic incident that occurs. She discovers that when she commits violence, especially murder, she then gets, is it synesthesia? She gets really high off but if she does it with sound, she can enjoy it even more because she loves sound, and she kind of decides to engage in practices that will scratch her itch. And
it's amazing. It's like
mad.
Saw with drum machines, isn't it?
It's great.
Basically.
Yeah. And it's very inventive. And it's just as inventive and stupid as it needs to be because and there's some interesting stuff it does with sort of sexuality, and she's amazing in a central role. And I don't think everyone will just love it, but I do think that there's enough, like, I'm looking forward to watching it again.
So that's on at the 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. Lovely. Just before your roast. Delicious. Sound of Violence. Delicious. The Sunday night movie is Evie. From the visionary director of Frightfest favourite Dominic Brunt, director of Before Dawn, Bait and Attack of the Adult Babies, comes a thrilling and frighteningly sinister take on the shape-shifting Selkie, the malicious seal creatures of Celtic folklore. Louise, I've never heard of Selkies.
They are a Scottish, and I'm not sure if they're also an Irish folk story, but they're certainly a Scottish one. And the Selkies come out of the lochs or the sea, and they are seals, but then they become human. They shed their skin and they become human. Ooh. And then they tend to marry women. They make women fall in love with them. I remember reading, I think it was a book called When Selkie Came to Shore. We basically covered them in school. And they are a monster that comes and pretends to be human and does terrible things to humans. Maybe not necessarily terrible things, but I certainly think there was a sort of fear of they're coming to steal your woman element of them.
Yeah, classic.
So I'm not sure exactly what kind of things these monsters will do. But yeah, I'm all for, I want more Scottish monsters. I want Nessie finally just get out of the fucking loch and start eating people. That would be great. I want Kelpie horror. That would be great. Like those wild horses. I want people to eat people or trample them. And Selkies, or even like haggis. Haggis can be little wild creatures that could be really small, and then they could swarm people like rats, and it would be like Attack of the Haggis. See,
Oh my God,
Why,
evil haggis.
Yes, where's the Netflix? Netflix, come to me.
I love it. So that is Evie. Another film, actually, it's worth mentioning as well on the Sunday night. This is the big 9 p.m. film on the Sunday night. We've got No Man of God, which is the Elijah Wood, Ted Bundy movie, Louise. What do you feel about this?
I love Elijah Wood.
Yep.
I don't know how many more Ted Bundy movies I can watch.
I know.
Like, the man was an arsehole who killed women.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, that maybe this is the one. The Zac Efron one. No.
Hated it. Yeah, hated it.
Was it extremely shocking, disgustingly vile, something vile, wicked and vile? That was the one. And it is. It is.
I generally have faith in Elijah Wood.
I do too.
I think he's quite good at spotting a good story, a good movie. It's based on real life transcripts from selected conversations between Bundy and an FBI agent. So I think it's like literally, I think Elijah Wood actually plays the FBI agent. So I think it's literally
interesting. Okay,
yeah,
good.
I think it's literally just two guys sat at a desk talking for most of the film, which is interesting. So I'm kind of intrigued by that. Yeah.
Because I think I just read about it and just assumed that he played Ted Bundy and that was it.
Yeah, no, it's an actor called Luke Kirby playing Ted Bundy, apparently. But so, we'll see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that makes me feel better because I think I saw a lot of stuff about it and was just automatically like, Elijah Wood plays Ted Bundy, fine, we'll see him go again, see how horrible he is. But if that's not what we're doing...
Yeah.
I mean, Mindhunter was based on reality and is amazing. So.
Well, that's it. It might be like Mindhunter, the movie, I think.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's go on to the Monday now and finish with the sort of the closing films on the final day here. We start the day on the Monday in the main screen with The Retaliators. I have not seen this yet. Louise, you have, haven't you?
I have.
In The Retaliators, an upstanding pastor uncovers a dark and twisted underworld as he searches for answers surrounding his daughter's brutal murder. Interesting. So is it a kind of revenge film or something like that?
It is. And it is embargoed because this is a world premiere. So it is. And there's a lot of, what I can say is there's a lot of involvement of rock stars. Is it Motley Crue? Is that in that description?
Right, yes.
Is it, who is, not Motley Crue, who is it?
Yeah, Motley Crue. Motley Crue's Tommy Lee, Five Finger Death Punch, Papa Roach, Ice Nine Kills, Escape the Fate, and many more. Oh, wow, okay.
There's a lot of rock in it.
Okay, it's a very metal film. Yeah.
Yes, and it is a revenge influence. I think they've said in that description, I think they say they're influenced by the Evil Dead.
Right.
And this is my best. Not giving anything. We can talk about it.
We'll talk about it next week. I look forward to discussing that movie with you after we've seen it. So that's The Retaliators kicking off the day. After that, a movie called Slapface. I like the name. Slapface.
This is really intriguing. Really intriguing.
Ooh, is there a relationship more special than that of a boy and his monster? After Lucas and Tom lose their mother in an accident, they think they only have each other to lean on. But Lucas has become fascinated by local myths of a monster in the woods, reciting the rhyme that kids have been repeating for generations whenever he walks by the abandoned hospital. When bullying girls from his school dare him to go inside, the rhyme comes to life, and as Lucas's visits become more frequent, the disappearances begin. Interesting. I like that. I mean, that has the potential to be quite spooky.
Yeah, I think I saw a trailer for it that looked very ominous. Very ominous. But also the name Slapface feels like it's a sequel to Jugface, which was a very strange folk horror.
It does. Yes, that was a really good folk horror, actually. Yeah. I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by the pictures of it, the synopsis. So that's great. So that's 1 p.m. on the Monday. Now, the final closing film, which I've heard a lot of people buzzing about, is The Sadness, which just sounds absolutely horrific. After a year of... It's also very, very relatable, this one. Oh, God. After a year of combating a pandemic with relatively benign symptoms, a frustrated nation finally lets its guard down. This is when the virus spontaneously mutates, giving rise to a mind-altering plague. The streets erupt into violence, sadism, and depravity as those infected are driven to enact the cruelest and most ghastly things they can think of. Murder, torture, rape, and mutilation are only the beginning. Happy closing night film. Oh my God.
Boy.
A film about pandemic filled with rape, torture, and mutilation called The Sadness is not necessarily what I would want for the closing film. But,
no, it could end with something, nice. Like apparently, King Knight, which is coming. That's, skippy, comedy, horror, that could, that kind of thing. That's also got Barbara Crampton in it.
Oh, well, we should talk about that in a minute then. But interesting. I've heard from a couple of people who have seen it that it's excellent, but it's hardcore apparently. Brad Hansen, as we both know, is he's a pretty hardened horror fan. He watches a lot of extreme stuff. He said this film was brutal.
Okay, if he said it was brutal, I mean, maybe that's what we need. Maybe, as is often the case, we'll have become so sort of shielded to all kinds of horror by 5 days in that we'll just be like, annihilate, mutilation, fine. Maybe. Oh, it's
also
going to be
like it's like Frightfest are punishing us for coming to Frightfest because
it's literally
because that beginning of that synopsis, after a year of combating a pandemic, a frustrated nation finally lets its guard down.
That was the first thing when they announced Frightfest, and I saw that synopsis. I literally tweeted. I was like, "Is this the news or our Frightfest announcement?"
They've gone very meta with this Frightfest, haven't they? I think the film will be powerful, probably, and it will probably be a brilliant film. It's just that's a dark premise, isn't it, for the closing night film? But maybe we need it. Maybe we need it. I can't help but be a little bit excited about that prospect. So I'm kind of looking forward to that in a tentative way. So there you go. That was the big closing night film. There are obviously so many other movies we could mention. Louise, is there anything else you want to mention? There's a couple of Discovery Screen ones, actually, I'll bring up in a minute. But you did just mention a movie with Barbara Crampton. Is that right?
Yeah, King Knight is a comedy, a pagan comedy that's coming. That's on its way. We can watch that as and when, so that we can be sort of nice and relaxed. Maybe
Perfect.
That's not going to be full of gore. That's coming. And the last thing Mary saw, I'm quite intrigued by, which is a period occult movie, which looks right up our street. What else was there? Other comedy-wise, there is a Christmas one called Red Snow, which apparently is Merry Christmas plus Dracula and Twilight.
Oh, amazing.
So, I don't know,
Amazing.
so Santa's sleigh, literally with vampires. There's just so much. There's, 60 movies?
There's so much. There's too much. I should mention as well, there are a couple of good documentaries. There is Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched.
Yes.
On Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Now, this is, again, one we talked about in South by Southwest. This documentary is 3 hours long, so you've got to prepare yourself for that. 10 a.m.
Bring your breakfast.
You won't be out till 1. But if you're a horror nerd like we are, I think you will love this documentary, right?
Yeah. It's such a good, it's an amazing documentary. It goes through every single, so it starts off talking about British folk horror, which we all know of, Witchfinder General, etc., the Unholy Trinity, all of that. But then it goes in a couple of directions that of especially folk horror that I didn't know about. So it goes global. So it talks about American folk horror and what that is and its roots, and the number of talking heads, the amazing number. Everyone that you could possibly think of that you would like to talk about this is right there talking about folk horror. And you'll honestly, and I think it was Brad that said it, end up with a list a mile long of suddenly films that you immediately have to see. So go there. Take a notepad because you don't want to light your phone up. So just write things because there are so many. I'm really glad it's showing.
It's so good. It's the perfect festival for this documentary, isn't it? Yep. So that Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, absolutely give it a watch. And if you're a found footage fan as well, there's a documentary on the Monday called The Found Footage Phenomenon. So this is another big documentary that kind of unpicks the history of that amazing subgenre, which again, such a divisive subgenre, isn't it? I know a lot of people have such found footage fatigue. We're both fans of found footage, aren't we? Yeah, I love it. I think it's a bit of a guilty. It's not guilty pleasure because there are some genuinely great found footage movies, but it's a bit of a weakness of mine, I think, where even the not that great found footage films, I usually really enjoy.
Yeah. I think there's something. I think it's really, really hard to make a good found footage movie, but I don't think there was anyone last year that thought Host was anything other than phenomenal, you know, and that just that didn't, you know, that reinvented a lot of scares, but also it didn't break the mold, you know. It did a lot of very smart things, you know. But I think, you know, that shows that. And I think they're interviewed in it, aren't they?
Yes,
Savage,
they are. And so
Gemma,
is
hopefully.
Graham Hughes, who made Death of a Vlogger, another great found footage movie.
So good.
Yeah, really excited. I can't wait. Again, the horror nerd in me is extremely excited to see that. So yeah, a couple of really good documentaries on the Discovery screens as well. There's just so much, Louise. There's so much.
A lot. There is a lot. And there's also Nando's to eat. So how are we going to do this?
If I was to ask you to name just one film, Louise, that you're most excited about across the entire weekend, which one is it? Is it the Celtic seal monster?
It might be the Celtic seal monster. Or maybe it's but we might have an Aquaslash situation where I have mentally written the entire Celtic seal monster before I see the movie, and it's not the movie's fault of what I've decided. I'm gonna, as well as that, I'm also excited about crabs.
Oh yeah, crabs
and brain freeze. I'm excited. I want to see it all. I'm really keen. I can't wait to just see a lot of new horror at once.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I'm thrilled.
I'm right.
What are you most excited about?
I don't know. I think maybe crabs as well, but I'm kind of intrigued by The Kindred, which has 800 plots as well.
Yes.
And I am morbidly curious about The Sadness. Like, I really am curious about that one as well, you know?
That will drive us to Monday night. That continual curiosity for depravity.
Yes.
Our continued pursuit of depravity.
Exactly. Oh, I can't wait. So we'll be bringing plenty of discussions of all these films across the weekend, probably on Patreon. And the next time I see you, Louise, it'll be in person, like in 3 dimensions.
Oh my God, I'm going to squish you.
Oh, I cannot wait. Louise, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Looking for more horror content? Subscribe now for more videos like this one and listen to the Evolution of Horror podcast. Head on over to evolutionofhorror.com.